As an artist, as a singer and a writer, I really believe that human beings want to live with nature because it nurtures them in some way. It feeds them in some way. It gives them some kind of sense of belonging to something larger than ourselves.
And if you treat the forest like it has value, it provides a value that you don't get when you cut it down. This tree is probably a survivor that is pretty much responsible for the majority of the fir that's around it. And every one we've got that's anywhere near this kind of age should be kept. They're really the genetic pattern that we need to have a future again. I've been involved in woodworking as a profession for pushing 30 years now. And the whole time, wanting to know that the things I was producing that were of intrinsic value in themselves came from an environment that was still there. It really drove me crazy for years in the early days of woodworking, knowing that everything I was making was coming from the death of a forest somewhere. Right down to the rock. There's an amazing amount of wood on the ground here. It's unbelievable what's been left behind. I don't care if this is private land or not private land. To do this to it is totally insane.
What's been heartbreaking for me in terms of the forest is the number of people who have worked in the forest, love working in the forests, and they're all out of work. They're never going to have jobs, some of them, ever again.
It's a real shame, and we kill off all the other animals that depend on the forest. There's just got to be a better way to do it.
I have this feeling we're standing right at the doorway where we have a chance to do something about it. And I think there's a will. The vision for the Trust is a world in which we love the forests and act accordingly. Can we actually save a lot of these forests that are going to be logged by conventional systems? And then, if we do that, how can we allow for the growth in density in communities? And how can we create more jobs?
The unique thing about this model is that we're able to buy forestry land right now, put a restrictive covenant on the land for sustainable forestry, value-added manufacturing, to continue the jobs in the forest. And then on the remaining 10 to 20%, we cluster the density, we put light on the land infrastructure, subdivide the land into parcels that we can then sell to pay for the whole works. The numbers work, and the experience is that people both love the new building lots and they love being part of a sustainable forest.
This is really a project about sustainability. It's necessary to shift the economic focus from the short-term monetizing of timber in the forest. There are a lot of other harvesting techniques that can live with sustainable forestry or ecosystem-based forestry. And that allows you all the other benefits that the forest has to offer.
All of this can be growing, getting bigger, larger, happier for the beings and critters that live here, while we're extracting what actually amounts to a substantial amount of wood for a substantial amount of work. The conventional wisdom in BC is that it's about 1,000 to 2,000 meters of wood, of trees, that go through the system to create one job for a year. Well, we get one job per year from our own work here on the island. Without leaving the island and without the wood leaving the island, we're getting roughly one job per 100 cubic meters. That's 10 to 20 times what BC normally gets.
So there's all these different secondary manufacturing things that can happen that can give work to a community from wood that is being gently removed from the forest. And you actually end up, if you're willing to take the time, taking more logs off in the long run. In that way, we reinvigorate the local economy so that people could be working in that wood in perpetuity.
It seems to be the only way that you can keep the forest is by continuing to extract from it what it's willing to give up, which is like the interest, not the principal. And it's very important to leave the principal intact.
Of course, we all need the money now. Landowners, loggers, governments. But we have found a solution to get over that short-term crisis of cash by allowing for some development on the land that pays an equivalent amount to what short-term logging would pay. And then we get the added benefit of logging forever.
The other thing is that we're able to work with some of the land trusts in British Columbia. And by working with them, we can sometimes acquire a piece of property jointly that they would otherwise not be able to obtain. By allowing a clustered development of a very few building sites, we would be able to make the numbers work to be able to buy that piece of property and save the whole forest.
What I love about this model as a registered professional forester is that it gives a complete balance of forestry in all senses of the word. I think it has a perfect blend between the industrial model and the preservation model. It's truly sustainable forestry. It's about maintaining the integrity of the forest, bringing values back to the community, keeping forestry for the future, for our generations.
That, to me, shows a huge environmental advantage and community advantage in that the jobs are local. The money that's produced from doing it is probably higher because a lot of it's not being filtered away to other places. And at the end, you've got a better home. You're more connected to the property you live on because part of it is there in your house. And it's, in the long run, cheaper and better in every imaginable way.
This model allows for access. It allows for the beauty of the forest to be maintained. It allows for the habitats to flourish, and it allows for people to come through and recreate or use the forest for economic purposes, for building their lives, for educating their children, for moving forward over the generations.
And I think we can work sustainably and comfortably with major logging companies even to find a way, can we turn this corner together rather than fighting against each other? For us to actually see we really want the same thing. We want to use wood in a sustainable way, in a good way, and to turn and walk down the path together. This is an idea whose time has come.